welcome to another episode of Soundtrack of Our Lives. I'm here with Claudio this morning, and you are the host of Sky Blue Fans TV.
That's right, well I'm one of the hosts.
One of the hosts.
There's Ken Stewart, Miles Cadden and Victoria Oakes, and we're hoping to get a bit bigger in the coming season. We're going to go in partnership with somebody and expanding it, get it out there.
So for anyone who isn't from this area, we're in Coventry, in the Midlands, and this is Coventry. So Sky Blue is Coventry City Football Club, and this is Sky Blue Fans TV. So you and three others host this TV show. Yeah. What's involved in this?
Oh well, basically we go out on a Thursday night and a Sunday night on YouTube. Yeah. So it's a YouTube channel. Yeah. And we sort of pick a subject. I mean, it's a closed season now. Normally during the season we'll be talking about the game coming up, and then we'll be talking on the Sunday about the game that's been played. Yeah. And we have guests on. We try and get ex-footballers on when we can. And we just talk about Coventry City Football Club and any other things that pop up to do with football.
Yeah, and everything around that, really.
Yeah, because this, I mean, obviously we've got the Euros coming up soon, starting next weekend. But we've got, because it's a closed season, we're doing things like best home kits, best away kits, which was your favourite club badge. Yeah. And we do a show every week. And then I do a history podcast with Jim Brown, who's the club historian. Yeah. And we've started doing that about a couple of months now. We put that out as well. We record it live. Yeah. And it goes out on Spotify. Obviously, listen on Spotify. Listen to it. And then we put it out on YouTube as well.
On the same channel as Sky Blue Fans TV. So it's all available on there. Yeah. Because what I'll always do with everyone is I'll put in the description of the video links to all of your things like the Sky Blue Fans TV. So if anyone's interested in Coventry City or football and wants to support the channel, they can just click on there and subscribe. Yeah. Yeah. I'll also add all your songs below as well, so people can have a listen. Not now because we're still mid podcast, but they can go and have a listen to the songs if they haven't heard them. See what sort of things you like. So you're saying the Sky Blue Fans thing, you're looking at growing that, and you've got someone else involved. Is that hush-hush at the minute, or
pretty much?
Yeah. So that's to be. We'll see what happens with that as you're looking to grow that channel. I mean, the Sky Blues have got a pretty decent following.
Yeah, even more so the last 4 or 5 years, especially after COVID. Yeah. I think after COVID, people just wanted something to do. Yeah. And but the last 7 years have been really good. So that's we're starting the channel at the right time. In fact, the channel originally started because of COVID, because of wanted to do things. I think a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube channels started then, didn't they? Because people sat at home, what can we do? Yeah. I'll do this. And it's surprising how quickly it takes on. It's really pleased with it.
It's a thing that obviously there's a lot of passionate Coventry City fans, and I think most Coventry City fans are from or around Coventry. Yeah. You know, some other clubs, I think they've got fans all around the world, and it's a really, really local feel to the club. I think I'm not really a follower like yourself, but from my perspective, that's what it seems.
Yeah, and what you find is if they are, I've got friends in Canada, Australia who support Coventry, but they're Coventry and Warwickshire people. Yeah. So the fans, I mean, there's people who travel 2 hours for a home match, they're season ticket holders, but they're from Coventry originally.
Originally from.
Yeah. There's a guy who comes from the Isle of Man.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's there's a woman who comes from Northern Ireland. Every home match. That's
real dedication.
That is commitment. So but normally they're sort of ex-Cov, ex-Warwickshire, the ones who are further afield that support Coventry. It's very unusual. Although there's an Italian guy, there's a German guy as well. It's basically picked a team out of a hat. I think one of them saw us on television, liked our kit, because I think at the time we played in the similar colours to his team. Yeah. And he just picked us as a team. We could have been anybody.
Yeah, it wasn't. It just happened to be the right colour.
But he's been to Wembley 4 times since then, so he did all right, hasn't
he? Yeah, he's done well.
But yeah, it's a massive passion. I've been doing it since I was 5. Not the channel, obviously. Yeah. Supporting them. That's 53 years. Yeah.
So it's always been a big part of your life.
Yeah. Father. My dad was massive Cov fan, and I'm a member of the Leamington Warwick Supporters Club as well. My dad started that in 1977,
Right.
It's kind of evolved, disbanded, started up again.
It's like these things tend to do sometimes, don't they?
And, but yeah, so Coventry City, big part of my life.
Yeah, real key part. Okay, and the other thing which I just touched briefly on, and it's how we know each other, is from Walsall Common Radio.
Yeah.
So you do a couple of shows on there. You have a Saturday morning breakfast show.
9 to 11. Yeah.
That's 9 till 11. That's with Liam.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of banter and gags on there. And then your other shows are Sunday 2 till 4.
Yeah.
And that one's classic albums and classic years, where you just look at a particular album.
Yeah.
Go through the tracks on there. So when this goes out, it will be in the past. But I mean, you've done things like Genesis. So you've got Pink Floyd coming up.
Fleetwood
Mac, some absolute classics. So if you like listening to some classic albums, that's the one for you.
Yeah, I don't go too far off the scale, because the problem is, I mean, everyone knows what a classic album is, and I have to say, I wouldn't normally go out and buy some of these albums, but I know they are a classic album by the fact they've been sold by the millions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could listen to them, but I wouldn't, like, almost 2 or 3 would definitely be a first choice buy, but they just, in terms of classic, historically, some of them are just groundbreaking as well.
Yeah, they're just massive, aren't they?
Yeah, and then I pick songs from that year as well.
Yeah,
so
something
kind
to
of
fill out the show.
Yeah, and also it's like a contrast of like the bizarre to the brilliant to like, why are you playing this? And but then with people going, I've bought that.
Yeah, they've got that in their record collection.
Yeah, it got to number 1 for a reason. Somebody must have bought these records.
Yeah, it hasn't happened by accident, has it? Someone's been out there and party with our hard-earned pennies to
somebody in 1980 or 81 bought "Shut Up in Your Face" by Joe Dolce.
Yeah, some people are to blame.
And kept Ultravox off the books.
Ultravox, wasn't it? Yeah. Vienna was criminal.
Well, briefly, I met Midge Ure. We were at an open-air production of Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And I could see somebody in the distance. I'm thinking, that's Midge Ure, I'm sure it is. So I sent my son, who was about 12 at the time. I said, just go down there and see if he's got a Scottish accent. So he went down there, come back and said, I think he has. He wasn't sure.
It wasn't clear.
So he sat in this auditorium, it was like an outdoor place, and he was sat behind me. Couldn't believe it. And I said to him, oh, Midge, yeah, like you do. And my wife just went, do you realise he bought Shut Up in Your Face? I'd only just been telling him I'm seeing him in concert, you know, and I couldn't do this time around because of whatever reason. He went, well, I'm not going to talk to you now.
Yeah, that's it, we're done. Yeah. How dare you? No, it was, there's been some shocking musical purchases by people, haven't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, right, we're going to jump into your first song then for the day. It's the Undertones. Teenage Kicks.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
well, where do I start?
What a song!
Well, it is, and it to me, it's just a complete song. I mean, it says everything about teenage boys' anxieties regarding girls. I would say it is my favourite 45.
Yeah.
And it took me years to get a copy actually for my jukebox, because it was released as an EP originally, and I didn't want all the other tracks.
You just wanted that song.
Yeah, that song and another on the B side.
Yeah.
And in the end, I had to get a copy from the United States, which probably 4 times as much. It's really hard to get a single copy, but it's just brilliant from start to finish.
Yeah.
I think it was John Peel's favourite song, and I don't know. As soon as it starts up, I just love it.
Yeah, it's that intro. You know, we were talking about intros and things on the episode I was recording earlier today, and they can make or break a song, can't they? And you just that hook and it catches you, and everybody, as soon as, I'd imagine most people in the world know this song. That intro, it's that iconic, isn't it?
And I've got to say, I think it's just about their best song. I've got some of the other ones, but this is the standout one.
It's head and shoulders above.
2.5 minutes of pure joy, basically.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, apparently it's about a certain activity teenage boys do. Is what they reckon the song's all about.
Right.
But put it that way, I'm trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as a teenage boy, we've all been there. Where I think lads are fixate about girls more than girls do about boys. I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, because I think I'm going way back now. We're talking 70s here. And the chase was a massive thing.
Yeah.
I think if you're a teenager.
Not the TV show, we performed
yes,
that, aren't we?
Yeah. It's a case of, can I get the girl and all that, and the anxiety of, does she fancy me, or that kind of thing. Get your mate to go and have a word with Claire or Linda.
Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
talk to her or talk to them,
exactly.
or that old game. Yeah.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal, and I think I spent my whole school years chasing after girls, basically.
And I think as well, like you say, and it is the chase, isn't it? I think for the most part, as we were growing up, girls don't have to do the chasing.
No.
I don't know about what it's like today because I'm not in that world, but it's guys that they're chasing girls, and it's girls that really much make the decision for the most part. Or nay. And as a young lad, it's all on you, and that, do I ask her out, and or the school disco, or you're at college and you're not sure, and then you've got to go out on a limb, haven't you? And
there was no communication whatsoever. You go to school, you might have an opportunity, that window of opportunity of like 5 minutes between a lesson to go, will you go out with me? And then, I'll let you know tomorrow. Well, you couldn't use the phone because you weren't allowed to.
No, because it was in,
but now they talk or they chat, don't they? As my lad says, we're talking.
Chatting.
Chatting. And it's like they can spend 3 or 4 weeks just texting each other.
Yeah.
And that's their kind of what we'd call courting in the old days.
And they don't have any of that. It's all on social media, isn't it, or messaging or whatever. Yeah. And there's none of that, like you say, either a waiting game or whatever, and everyone can just connect to someone that easily and chat. It's a very different.
And of course, it can work the other way as well, where you wanted to ignore somebody, you could, because you could go home, you wouldn't have to have any contact whatsoever.
Yeah, because the world shut off.
Yeah, my phone, because we used to live in the pub, so people knew where I lived, so they could ring the pub and they'd say, Claudio, there's so-and-so on the phone for you. I'm out!
Not here, just not here.
And that's it. No contact. Of course, no, you can't, because they can see when you've read your message, you can, it's very hard. They know.
Escape. Yeah.
You can't, there's no, and I think that's a pity, because I think there's no downtime at all now.
Yeah.
And that's probably what brings a lot of problems with teenage kids now. I think they just haven't got that chance that bit of escapism where you can leave certain things behind, but you're always contactable now.
Yeah, it is a very much, say we've got your phones are always on, it's actually a conscious effort to have to take that phone and switch it off, leave it in a drawer, go out somewhere. It's like leaving a limb behind, isn't it? When you go out without your phone, you think, oh my God, but we used to do it. We weren't contactable, we didn't have mobile phones. I'm a little bit younger than you, but I certainly remember going out drinking without a mobile phone.
And in those days as well, if you were stood up by somebody, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because, now you get obviously not married, so we get it now, but you get the polite text, I can't make it, something's come up. You think, oh, okay, fair enough, that sounds like whatever excuse, that'll do, at least you told me. In the old days, I'd meet you at the cinema, you could be stood there for an hour thinking, where is she then?
Yeah, there's a no-show.
Exactly. And of course, something could have happened, a genuine excuse, but there's no way of contacting you.
Yeah, you just didn't know, did you?
You felt like a lemon,
Yeah,
it sounds like it's happened to me, it didn't.
Slope off home. We've all been there, come on.
Yeah.
Do you want to go and watch a film on my own? I don't know.
Love story on your own is not the same, is it?
It isn't, no, it's not. It doesn't have quite the same feeling. Right, we're going to move on to your second choice, and this is the Sex Pistols, Pretty Vacant, so good album this is from.
Yeah, obviously, am I allowed to say the title?
Yeah.
Never mind the bollocks.
Yeah.
I was 12, and the whole punk thing, I was only young, and it felt really dangerous, and I knew that adults hated it, and you'd see the clips on the news, in the papers, all these Mohicans and studded jackets and ripped t-shirts. Some of it, now you look at it and think, I can't believe people walked around with swastikas, and stuff like that, which obviously you just wouldn't, but it was classed as a fashion thing, and I don't think it has that, the connotations as it does now, and people realise, you shouldn't have been doing that, that's not, and I'm sure Vivienne Westwood in hindsight would have probably thought that probably wasn't a great idea.
Yeah, perhaps not her best idea, but it was part of a movement, wasn't it? And a feeling back then.
And it was, and she probably would say, actually, I did the right thing because it made her a fortune.
Yeah.
But it was like, but there's more. I mean, Pretty Vacant was in. They're on Top of the Pops basically, and obviously I knew about the Sex Pistols anyway. But if anyone's seen the footage of them on Top of the Pops doing Pretty Vacant, where he emphasises the vacant word, where it sounds not like vacant, it sounds like something else.
Yeah.
And he really does emphasise it, and you're watching it, and as a kid you're thinking this is great, and you can see your parents sort of going, what are they want? Why are they watching this? You know,
that disapproving.
Yeah, look at the state of them. And I'm thinking these are great.
Yeah.
Anyway, my sister bought me the album, and I hid it basically in all my other records. And not like my dad would ever look through my albums anyway. But I just thought it was brilliant, and Pretty Vacant from start to finish. The opening, the guitar riffs, the drumming, it's just a great song from a really good album. And the album is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they've only done the one, basically, and the rest.
That was it.
That was it. The rest was just a regurgitation of everything they did. I mean, Malcolm McLaren was the manager, and he was so clever at marketing, basically.
Yeah.
Somehow they released it in 76, 77. That was when they at their highest, and they sort of carried on for about 3 years, and didn't even exist. But somehow they kept churning out material from somewhere, and people kept buying, like me, being a young kid, and I was just buying it, thinking it was still happening, and it obviously wasn't. It already moved on.
Yeah, it was gone.
Yeah, he's already been in Public Image for, especially John Lydon, who's Johnny Rotten.
Yeah.
I think he joined Public Image in 78. I think that's a year later. So it was kind of over before it started almost. You know, it's.
Yeah, so it's become such a well-known album, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was just from almost a minuscule window of time, and yet the impact they've had.
Yeah, well, I would say
album.
Punk rock was 6 months as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Then it became new wave, but the initial, where it grasped you by the whatsits.
Yeah, by the cojones.
Yeah, it was that first 6 months, and it was. I mean, to them it's funny because I've got my Genesis T-shirt. I'm a massive prog rock fan, and it was everything against prog rock and disco.
Yeah.
Two things I really like.
And yet somehow it really resonated with you as well.
Oh yeah. And as soon as I heard it, I thought, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
But that would have been the reaction people had with rock and roll. Elvis Presley, same with the Beatles in the 60s. It was felt new.
Yeah. It just grabbed your attention, didn't it? You're like, God, what is this?
And if you think about it, the music scene, mid to late 70s, I wouldn't say it was naff because there was some good. I mean, the 70s was a great period for albums. That was the era of albums basically, but a lot of them were, your prog rock bands, your heavy rock bands. It was almost like you had to be. It's like if you were really intelligent, it was like that's the music for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of the word. There is a word for it.
It won't come to you in a minute.
It might come to me. Pretentious.
Oh, yes.
A bit pretentious. I mean, it's like Tubular Bells came out.
Yeah.
Which is like early 70s, and nobody would give Mike Oldfield the time of day until Richard Branson did, and also it was like the biggest selling album of all time, pretty much. But it did sort of. The market was your university types, your long-haired hippie types. That's how it was. But I mean, Richard Branson was the man who picked up Sex Pistols in the end because everybody else rejected them.
Yeah, and it kind of helped elevate.
Yeah, I still remember. It's not this single, obviously, but "God Save the Queen," another one of their singles. I remember buying. It was number one at the time of the Jubilee, in 1977, but they relegated it to number 2 and put Rod Stewart at number 1 because they couldn't have the Sex Pistols and "God Save the Queen" at number 1, basically. But I had the single cover. It's got the Queen's face and it's all got the newspaper cutouts for the writing across the face and everything, like "God Save the Queen," Sex Pistols. And on the back was Virgin, which is the record label. And I remember walking through my dad's bar and this guy saying, "Oh, what you got there?" And he looked at it and goes, "Oh, Virgin." And he just thought it was funny. It got Virgin written on it.
Yeah,
I just thought it's a record label. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm only 11.
What are you on about?
Yeah. But it was, But yeah, Sex Pistols, Pretty Vacant, just,
Yeah, just
brilliant.
a cracking song.
Brilliant.
I'll try and find as well that Top of the Pops performance and put that link in the description as well.
Yeah, I think that's what will come up anyway.
Yeah, that'll be top of the search one up.
Yeah, there's that one, or there's one of the old grey whistle tests. They're very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic track. And then your third one is, so I've not heard this one actually, Eddie and the Hot Rods. Yeah. Anything you want to do.
Do anything you want to do.
Do anything you want to do. I can't even read that yet.
The lyrics to this, I know. I guess it's blurb. It's basically it said everything, and I did nothing about it. It's all about leaving, starting out somewhere, not taking orders, being pigeonholed. I failed on that count. I stayed around and never moved away. I think the lyrics are: I'm going to break out from the city, leave this. I was trying to think. Leave it all behind. It's all about politics as well. Just basically trying to stand on your own 2 feet and breaking away from everything.
So breaking the mould, make your way in the world. Yeah. Like you say, get up and go and something. But like you say, you've actually
and do anything you want to do.
You say you've failed. Can't you just stopped here?
Well, yeah, because I've never moved away. I've always lived around Warwickshire.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those songs where you're young, you're singing it and go, I'm going to do that, I'm going to break out from this city, leave this world behind, I'm going to, I'm still here.
And actually,
and to be fair, I'd love to know what the percentage-wise that's true. How many people actually do move away from where they're actually originally from?
I reckon that's probably quite low.
Yeah, exactly.
Genuinely.
5% possibly?
Yeah, I think you're probably in the right ballpark, because you know what? People generally like comfort or what, I don't know, whatever the word is, but they like to know where they are. And I think the number of people that up sticks and go is low.
Well, we have a group of mates, and I know this, it seems quite popular nowadays, have men who walk and talk and things like that. I don't know if you've seen it, where groups of men get together and they're going for a walk and they just chat about stuff.
Yeah.
And we have something called Nash on the Lash. There's a lot of talking, a lot of drinking.
Pub crawl kind of thing.
Yes.
Pub, yeah.
But we're all from Whitnash originally, you see, which is part of Warwickshire, small town next to Leamington Spa. I went to school there till I was about 10, but we all originally started in Whitnash.
Yeah.
And a mate of mine came up with the idea, says, why don't we meet up choose someone's birthday, so it's every 4 or 5 weeks, and we'll pick a couple of pubs and just go there and have a drink and have a laugh. And we do that, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And the one thing my wife says, because she's lived in 3 or 4 places, and she says sometimes she's quite envious of the fact that I've got all these mates still locally. And I mean, some of the lads I go out with, I've known them since I was 4.
Yeah, it's a really long-standing.
It's a lifetime friendships, which we don't see each other every 5 minutes, but you kind of you carry on from where you left off when you meet up.
Yeah.
We talk about the same old stories. They get exaggerated every time. They become funnier every time.
It's all part of it, isn't it? All the banter about the old tales and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's great though, because it's amazing how your memory gets jogged. Because we talk about something, we go, oh, do you remember him? Oh yeah, I remember him. And then it triggers something else.
Yeah, and you'll go down another path, won't you? About stories about that person, or maybe you all went on a lads' holiday together, or something. Or has anyone seen such and such, or heard from him? I haven't heard from him for 20 years.
Well, that's right. We've had lads join the group who we haven't seen for a while. I mean, there's a couple of guys. There's one guy who came out last time. My mate's been trying to get him out, and I knew who he was, and I said his second surname. I said, I don't know, where's that come from? And then, how do I remember that? And then I saw some old school photographs that he'd put on his Facebook. I think he was a couple of years older than me, but at the same junior school.
Yeah.
So that's why I knew his name. It was. I thought, now, of course, now I've seen his face and that, I'm thinking, I remember him. Of course I remember him.
Yeah, it all comes back as to where you've met him or where you knew him from.
But it's funny. Do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
I just hung around
I just did what you wanted to do. You wanted to hang around and have that familiarity. And
I've probably I'm doing more of that now than I did back in the day. Of doing what I want to do.
Yeah. And maybe you don't have to necessarily leave where you are to do what you want to do. I suppose that's probably a big thing. No. You can achieve that anywhere. Okay, so we're up to your 4th choice. Yeah. Another cracking band. T-Rex, yeah.
20th Century Boy. I was 8 years old, and I got an older sister, and she liked her music. I can remember her first 2 singles that she bought. Sasha Distel, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, and the Poppy Family.
Yeah.
Which Way You Going, Billy? It's interesting because the guys in the Poppy Family, Terry Jacks, who did Seasons in the Sun, he sang some miserable songs. All his songs are about dying and people leaving. So I done a happy childhood.
Very troubled childhood, man. Yeah.
So it's 1973. I'm 8 years old, and I went with my cousin Frank, who's now living in Italy now, and I bought T-Rex 20th Century Boy, and it's in here because it is my first single, alongside Blockbuster by Sweet.
Yeah.
Now, as you get older, sometimes you imagine things, don't you? I think about your childhood. Did that really happen? Is the timeline correct? And I thought, I'm sure I bought Blockbuster with 20th Century Boy. So I had a quick look in my books I've got on music, and they're both in the charts at the same time, in the same week. So it would make, so both of those on the jukebox. But 20th Century Boy is just a cool record. And T-Rex, Mark Bolan was,
Yeah.
It's funny because there's a lot of groups and a lot of artists. David Bowie's one, I could have picked his songs. Mark Bolan's in there. I think Brian Ferry to some extent, where girls loved them, but blokes liked them just as much.
Yeah.
They, you know what I mean? They got a appeal. David Essex is another one.
Yeah.
Where he was like, girls fancied him, but lads liked him because he was a bit edgy. Even though he sang love songs, and it looked cool. And I think with Mark Bolan, he was exactly that. He was just, it was the height of the glam rock period, and it's just, I think it's just a great song. I just love it.
Yeah, and it's just a wide appeal, isn't it? They really have very cleverly done. Well, I don't know whether that was an intentional thing or just how it was.
I think it's just how it was. I mean, they dressed up in their fancy clothes, big heels, long hair, makeup. It's all part of the show, I suppose. I've got visions of him walking around in a pair of old baggy jeans when he was at home. And,
just slumming it at home.
Hadn't put the curlers in or whatever, but glamming it up for the performance. But no, I just think, it's in there in my top 5. I just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It is a great song, and you've put here as well that say 8-year-old you, and your first ever song, and you've bought it from a place called Regent Records.
Yeah.
In Leamington Spa. And just that whole experience, I class myself as fortunate enough to have grown up maybe at the tail end of that, where buying records was a thing, and it was an experience.
It was, and I've got a huge record collection. I've got about 4,500 records, and they're all records, not vinyls. They're records. I keep telling people. I never used to go to a vinyl shop. I went to a record
shop. Yeah.
I just put that out there. And for me, I love the record label. Some of these 45s have got fantastic designs. Towards the end of the 70s, the start of the 80s, it was all like you get the record, it kind of all, the label's part of the actual record itself. It wasn't like the paper label.
It was sort of pressed onto it and different.
And coloured, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But if you go back to like the 50s and 60s and 70s, with the paper labels, different colours. Some labels, I think Pie, would have different colours depending on the kind of music it was.
Right. Okay. So it's sort of differentiated that way.
Yeah. So there was like a sort of brown coloured one. There was a blue one. There was a red one, and it all depended on what it was. So it was like crooners. There'd be a different colour to the bands and big band music and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, nice visual thing.
And I just used to look at it, and also, going through the records and stuff. I used to go to a shop when I was a bit older, Bond and Curtis in Warwick, when I was about 11, 12. And it was, they used to sell white goods, but they had a record store part. And I just spent hours in there, just flicking through. Yeah. And the girl behind the counter, her name was Lydia, was her name. And obviously old enough to work in a record shop. And she'd pull out, especially when New Wave and Punk was pretty big, because there's loads of coloured vinyls, picture discs. She'll go, what about this one? What about this one? And I'd spend hours up there going, no, not that one. Oh, that one, that one, that one. So I've got loads of records. I bet some of them I haven't even played.
Really?
But just bought them because they were coloured vinyl.
But that whole thing, I love that. I love that. And I know, obviously, it's convenient. We were just talking about Spotify before we had a little break there, and you know, we're very it's fortunate we can go anywhere, find a song, play it. I'm not belittling that.
Yeah.
But that experience of going into a record store, leafing through, there's the artwork that catches you visually, there's a coloured vinyl records. The physical vinyl is coloured, and it's just an experience, and it is coming back, isn't it? Records are actually making a bit of a comeback.
And to be honest, when CDs came out, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I did. I was quite prepared to leave the records behind. I thought I can actually store things in a much smaller space. Except I bought thousands of CDs. Because my first CD player was, and I've got the receipt at home. I can never throw anything out. 1985.
Yeah.
And it was £300, which would have been quite. I mean, £300 now for a CD player is quite a lot.
I mean, that was quite a lot back then.
Yeah, it was a really good.
End.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got it from the Sony shop in Leamington, which is I used to love the Sony shop. So much good gear in there. And my idea was that I was going to basically all my albums I was going to get on CDs.
Right.
And I thought it was revolutionary, but they sold us a lie, didn't they? Because CDs do get damaged.
Yeah.
You know, I've got hundreds and hundreds of CDs that I can't play.
Yeah.
When
they first came out, they were very much marketed as almost. I remember the adverts and
indestructible.
You know, when you think, and what was I imagining that? But that's what was presented. Yeah. You could drop it on this and drop it on that. Pour coffee on it, and actually, even if you put it down the side of your car out of a case, it gets scratched up and you can't play it.
So my first CD was War of the Worlds double album.
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to sound amazing. Oh, it's true, because you put the record on, you played it a few times, you will get the crackle.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit, it can spoil it a little bit, but on the CD, when I first bought that, it was magnificent. And Poor Young, No Parlay.
Yeah.
For some reason. I don't know why. They're the first two. And then because I'm a massive Genesis fan, and I started getting the Genesis stuff. Now, the Genesis albums, going totally on a tangent here, the Genesis albums, the artwork, like a lot of prog rock bands, is magnificent.
Yeah.
And they got the lyrics in there, and you need the lyrics because you don't know what's going on in half these songs. It's all a bit arty-farty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, on the CD, when they first came out, all you had was the front and back cover. A lot of them came from Germany, and it's almost like they just knocked them out really quick because they realised there's a market, we've got to get it out there.
Yeah.
And eventually they started releasing them with the little booklets inside. Problem is you can't read it. It's so small.
It's tiny, isn't it?
Yeah. And I used to do this thing as a kid where I'd get the album, I can remember Bat Out of Hell, we got the lyrics, I'd prop it up on the cupboard light, I'd be playing this, and I'd be singing, like on Meatloaf. Shut up! But you got the lyrics, you could see it. You could do it with a CD like this, going, even at like 18, 19, 20, I couldn't read, it's that small, you couldn't see it.
But they didn't come with a free magnifying glass, it was no good.
Exactly. But for me, it was, like I said, the whole thing, going in there, looking at the records, the labels. I mean, I could show you some fantastic labels. It's just the artwork that went into it.
It's just...
the whole thing. But, I mean, I go in now, it's funny because we go to places, my wife will say, oh, it's a record shop, you want to pop in? And I kind of go, no now, because it's almost like, not that I'm done with it, but I know if I go in there, I'm not going to come out.
Yeah, it's a time vortex, isn't it? You're just going to vanish in there.
And I want to be able to have a proper browse then, not thinking, oh, I better hurry up because,
got people out. So if you're stuck in a record store, your kids are despairing.
Yeah, well, I've seen plenty of photos of them being looking fed up because they're waiting for me to come out. But it's just something that's been with me for years. And I mean, I got 12 record players of various ones from 1957. I got a dance set. I mean, that's actually the make, but all the way through to 87. Ariston Q-Deck it's the bee's knees. What they used to use for
the dog stanglies. Yeah,
it's what they used for DJing back in the day for scratching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not that I did that, but that's what it's for. It's really lightweight. It's such a good turntable, and I was devastated because I went to put it on the other day and it wasn't working. And then it's just a power adapter. I think one of the cats had nibbled the wire.
A little chew on the wire.
Yeah, which is a relief. But the thing is, when you play an old record, say from the 50s or 60s on that, you've got like, you can hear every hiss and crackle and pop.
Right, picks up everything.
Whereas you play a modern one, it's pretty clear. So, but then you put a modern one on the old record players, it's a bit frightening because the weights are quite heavy and you shouldn't really do it because it will ruin the record eventually.
Right.
But you put the old records on it, it's almost like it crashes through the crocs and all the pops and pings and bangs. Yeah, it's really weird. It's like
It's weird, isn't it? How they're made as well fascinates me. Just the design of.
The whole thing. Yeah, you know, everything about it. You know, the covers, the labels, the lyric sheets. I mean, I used to be disappointed sometimes. We used to open like a double album. There's no lyrics. You think, oh no, there's going to be some lyrics in there. But no, for me, it was everything. I
used to love the one we had in Coventry. That's gone now. It's in the lower precinct part, and it was called Spinner Disc.
All right, yeah.
And that was, you used to go down there and there was records and CDs as well, and you leafing through and you could pick them out, and there was booths with headphones and you could go and have a listen to it.
Yeah.
I just spend all Saturday there.
Yeah, there's also hits and misses in Cov, wasn't there, on the Gosford Street.
Oh yes,
Gosford Street.
Yeah, Gosford Street, yeah.
And he opened a place in Leamington as well.
Yeah.
Hits and misses it was called. I think they used to supply the records at the football club. They used to play records before the games.
Yeah, they would get them.
As opposed to just CDs now or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been with me, and 50 years on.
Yeah, it's just part of who you are, isn't it?
Yeah, my son bought me for my birthday the other week tribute to Genesis as a Genesis album of songs by other people. So yeah, so they're still getting them. I don't necessarily buy the records myself now, but people will buy them for me.
Will buy them for you. No, that's cool. Right, we're at your final song for the day, The Jam.
Yeah.
When You're Young.
Well, yeah, when you're young. Not for long, is it?
No, it's fleeting, it seems.
The fifth choice was difficult because I could have picked the Stranglers as well. Go Buddy Go was another one that came to mind. Sheena is a Punk Rocker by the Ramones.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all songs of my era. A couple of Clash ones could have made it. But this, for me, it's another one of those songs where it's Paul Weller at his finest, and he's saying everything about teenage boys and chasing girls, and the rest of the song is about obstacles that get in your way when you're young. And I mean, the line, life is timeless, days are long when you're young, you used to fall in love with everyone. And to me, that sounded like me, basically. Yeah. That's how I felt as a teenage lad growing up. It's almost like, oh, she's nice, and then you go, oh no, she's nice, oh, she's nicer. But I think that's the same as most teenage boys.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really sure why we went to school. Well, I know I went to school. In fact, my school report says in my HE, which is home economics, which they call something else now, don't they? Something's food science or whatever.
Food science, is it?
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And it had
make an apple pie or whatever.
Exactly. And my teacher put in the school report, Claudio is very good at this subject, but would do even better, but for obvious distractions. So that made me laugh at it. So I must have spent the whole of the lesson just trying to chat up the girls, basically.
Not really remotely listening to what she's wishing on about.
Yeah, exactly. But Paul Weller, I mean, the Jam itself wrote some fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, In the City was quite their first album was a bit in your face and rough and ready, but good.
Yeah.
Then you got All Mod Cons, which is a great album, and the one with Eaton Rifles, Setting Suns. Is Eaton Rifles on that album? But anyway, Setting Suns. The lyrics are incredible. I mean, Down in the Tube Station at Midnight, written by Weller. I think he was 20 or 21 when he wrote that. And it's fascinating stuff.
Incredible. I mean, all his career, throughout his career, from all the bands he's been in, all the work he's done in himself, and you look back at it and you think, he's phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
it's just phenomenal.
He released an album last week, didn't he? Called 66. I think 'cause he's 66 now.
Yeah.
But I used to think it's fantastic. I really did. And when they split, it was I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And I just thought they had so much more to come, and it seems so. The cut-off was like that.
It was just quite abrupt, and
yeah, I can remember it at the time, thinking, "Oh no, is that it?"
Yeah, couldn't you? Surely you got a few more in you,
but the early, Jam stuff. I mean, this was just a single, and there's another one called Strange Town. That's another. The lyrics are brilliant. For somebody who, at the time when he wrote this, would have probably been about 19, probably.
Yeah, just a really young guy, isn't it?
It's fantastic, and it's raw, and it's just a brilliant song.
Yeah, it was the Jam in it, and they are just superb. I mean, obviously, the Going Underground is the one that immediately springs to mind. But they've just done so many good songs, and just him in general, really.
Well, there's a line in there, and normally, because we've got an election coming soon, at some point you probably see I'm going to post the lyrics from part of it.
Yeah.
Because it is exactly this. Every election, I just feel the same. When I read the lyrics, you just think, poor Weller, he's got it spot on here.
It's another of his songs, of his groups. I'm trying to think now. Style Council.
Yeah.
You know the song I'm trying to think of? And when he's talking about you don't have to... My mind's gone blank. you don't have to do what you're told, and it's up to you. And it just... When I saw that a few years ago, and I'm like, wow, I hadn't heard it before. And the lyrics were just... They really, really struck a nerve with me. I think it was at the start of COVID, and all these stupid rules coming in. It's like we don't have to do what you're told and all this. Yeah. It's a very clever guy.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's a bit moody.
Yeah.
But that's just his persona, isn't it? But the Jam, and just really, really good. Yeah. Really good.
Cool. Well, that's it. We're all done. Thank you very much for coming along. I think I need to come have a look at your record collection at some point. It sounds interesting. But yeah, I will. I'll let you know when the episode goes out. It might be a couple of weeks from now.
I look forward to it.
All right. Nice one. Cheers.